Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
What up?
Yeah, listen, go ahead and get ready. This is fire. This is fire. Yeah, listen, I'm glad it was cold outside. I got this off at the nick of time. Spring training is coming. But we in the building, man.
I got you on Death Row Records.
Yes, sir, man. Dustin.
Yeah, bro. You could be on the cover of, Suge Knight sign you up.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm in the enforcer.
You might be Suge Knight.
Listen, what was
darker skin?
Spot? Yeah, I'm actually, I got a stage name, man. You know what I'm saying? I actually do.
A stage name?
Yeah, I do. I was going to call myself Nocturnal, but there was already an artist called Nocturnal. Mm-hmm. So, so I have to think about
So yesterday, Tyvis come in here dressed like Tupac, and you come in dressed like Tupac's producer today.
Yes. I mean, but he had a full Tupac bandana on. Come on, bro. Listen, they let Tyvis get whatever he want off now. That was wild. He had it tied to the front. Dustin,
when was this?
Yesterday.
This was yesterday.
He had it tied frontwards?
Frontwards. You do up the W's and everything.
Like Bishop from Juice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
he got game.
Like they just let him get that off. I don't know. Wow. He's ready to go. But these is fire though. These joints right here.
The best.
Yeah.
The Cavaliers, we the best. Man, Dustin has let's talk about your new life. Like everybody is moving up.
It's new life.
You got a new life. Like you hang with like guys that make substantially more money than we do. And look,
there you go.
He had it on for like 15, 20 minutes. Right. Off bat.
Okay.
That's your man's. But let's talk about your new life.
My new life.
You hanging with the tennis people. You at the country clubs. You with all the main big time dance clubs. How does one move in those circles?
Well, you got to know the right people, man. That's part of it.
Yeah,
and you gotta sort of like act like you've been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you do, you start getting invites.
Get them invites, and he always you're good at it. I like for the fact that you get the pictures out to your peoples. So I love it. It motivates me because I'm really a jealous person at heart. I'm kind of petty a little bit too. Kind of like how Earl like how does it? So you just got a sponsor now on Ultimate 216?
Yeah, I do.
How did that
title sponsor?
Title
sponsor.
Title sponsor. How'd that work out? Tell us about your future endeavors over there.
It's a blessing, man. It just all kind of added up. But back to this, man. So you just walk past people like Serena. What's up, Serena? Just keep.
That was
wild.
wild.
I didn't meet Serena, but she was not at the events that I was at. But I was hobnobbing with the
number one in
tennis royalty, man.
Man, number one in the world right now. Number one ranked tennis player in the world.
She was. I got her ready for the tournament. She had to warm up with me, and on Tuesday we were hitting. Before the
It could be reverse stardom. They could go, oh my God, that's Dustin Fox.
That's wild.
That's a national champion right there.
I don't know. Me and David Grutman are boys now, dude.
Man, that's wild, McNuggets. I'm confused. We're gonna.
I do have a question though for you guys. This was leading into the show. We were talking about Jordans, these shoes, the cameras there. So
you see, I'm promoting. You know what I'm promoting right now.
96 is on.
Yeah, you know what I'm promoting right now.
96 Colorado.
I came in like this. You know what I'm saying? Siri, play perfect time.
What is going on with the New Balance shoes making a comeback?
Oh, they're all the way on the way back. New Balance is on the way back.
But bro, they're not. They're like the dad shoes.
They used to be.
See what they're doing right now is Dustin. It's like you ever try to have a fit on, but you don't try to have a fit on. It's like I got a fit on, but not really. And it's like you remember guys in college used to wear those hats that have like they crazy frayed and they would say Woody on them.
Yeah.
Or they would
Pops.
have you're right that.
Like South Carolina.
Yeah. They'd be like, dude, how long have you had that hat? I've had this hat for like 13 years. And the dirtier it is,
the better. Yeah, this was like when Abercrombie was a thing.
Yes.
And I'd take the hat off.
Yeah.
And I would like scuff it up
right
on the end.
And then you get did you have one of those hats, McNuggets?
Oh, I did.
I was doing a pre-read for the Living for We episode, so I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
We talk about back in the day when you used to be in high school, and all the white dudes used to have these hats, and they used to say Woody on the front of them, or they say Sooners, or it would be some random college, and the hat was dirty.
The brand was The Game.
Yeah, that's what it was. The Game. Yeah, you didn't have none of them.
I did not.
Yeah,
I had a bunch of college T-shirts and long sleeve shirts. Like I liked repping the different schools, but I'm not a hack. I've become a hat guy. I was not a hat guy.
Oh, so you was doing the thermal up underneath a thermal, up underneath a T-shirt, up underneath another T-shirt with a hemp necklace and the hair to the side.
Oh man,
a little frosted
he had the tall tee.
I went through a phase in high school where I had bleached blonde hair.
Yeah, bro.
And chokers, dude.
Hey, yo, your choker game was crazy. They was hemp. They was choked out, and you had 36 T-shirts.
We was wearing do-rags, headbands, and backward jerseys like never.
Bro, it's so crazy how things come back, though. Like Hollister was the thing for the whites.
Yeah, like for the white people.
Yeah.
Back then, we was wearing FUBU. Platinum FUBU.
But now my kids are wearing Hollister's making a comeback. New Balance making a comeback. All these things.
A6 is pretty dope.
Dude, Champions making a comeback.
Yeah.
Big time. Starters made a comeback.
Doc Martens was shoes back in the day.
Doc Martens, man. Soles for days.
Yeah, hey, and then you had the LL Bean book bags.
Oh yeah. Listen, if you wanted to be cool in like late '90s, mid '90s, I would say you had an LL Bean backpack and anything Eddie Bauer.
And the TI-83.
Your parents drove an Eddie Bauer Explorer. Expedition, you had the big bucks.
You was moving around. I have none of the above. McNuggets, what do we got going on today's show?
Yeah, we got a big show. We're going to talk what the Russell Wilson signing with the Giants means for the Browns. We got Greg Cosell, friend of Dustin and Bulls, coming on at 12 o'clock to help break down some of the film on these quarterback prospects. We'll talk about the Cavs win last night, give you some bold predictions on the Guardians last season. If you guys remember, we did bold predictions with Tyvis, Jason, and Bull. Well, the two baseball guys on that panel, Bull and Jason, completely whiffed on their bold prediction. Tyvis hit it, so I figured what better panel to bring out some bold predictions than us four here than us. So we're going to do that, but we start with a word from Earl's title sponsor, also a sponsor of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, the Living for We podcast. What happens when a regular day at school turns into the worst day of your life? Unfortunately, that's a reality that happens way too frequently in today's world. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for young people in America, and in communities of color, the impact is even greater. Every bullet fired creates two victims, the person in front of the gun and the one pulling the trigger. Living for We, Keep Your Head Up is an award-winning podcast that focuses on real stories, real struggles, and real solutions in Northeast Ohio. A new episode dropped yesterday. It's called Something Greater Than Me. Stanley Frankert shares a powerful story about the moment his life could have gone in a completely different direction, one where he might have faced a murder charge, but he believes divine intervention stepped in. If you want to hear stories like that, make sure you listen to Living for We wherever you get your podcast or watch the video version on IdeaStream's YouTube channel. Learn more at ideastream.com/podcast/Living for We. Subscribe today for Living for We on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. But guys, we start with the big news out of the NFL and how it impacts the Cleveland Browns. Russell Wilson is heading to New York to team up with Jameis Winston on the Giants. He agreed to a one-year deal, guaranteeing him $10.5 million with a chance to earn up to $21 million in incentives. And Earl, you and I were on the exact same wavelength when we saw this news yesterday. So what do you think Wilson going to New York means for the Browns when it comes to their quarterback conundrum?
I think the Browns going to draft Shedeur Sanders. I just think that locks everything in. I think Cam Ward is going to be the number one overall pick of the draft. I think that the Browns draft Shedeur and probably signs Joe Flacco or Carson Wentz to be that third quarterback to go along with Kenny Pickett. To me, I understand that Shedeur Sanders has his flaws and he might not be projected as this quarterback that's going to be all world, but I've always felt like he checks off all the boxes that matters. I think where it counts the most is above the shoulders. He knows what he's doing at the line of scrimmage, pre and post snap. He has elite ball placement. His accuracy is there, and he, knows how to read a defense. When I think about the relationships between Musgrave and his dad, when I think about Pat Shurmur's relationship with him and Kevin Stefanski, I think that the blind trust has been gained by all parties that's involved. I think that Shedeur Sanders is going to help Jimmy Haslam sell tickets for his new stadium that he's building. And I think that Kevin Stefanski can win with him. I think the Giants made that move with probably some solid intel that the Browns are taking Shedeur Sanders with the number 2 pick. I don't foresee any other world why you would sign Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson if you didn't feel like that was the case.
Yeah, interesting. I think that you're probably right. I still think that the Browns will take a quarterback at pick 2 if they don't move to 1. I mean, it sounds like by all accounts that Cam Ward's going to go to Tennessee at 1. They're going to have that workout coming up here soon. And, yeah, of course, they said that they're open for business if somebody wants to offer a big package for the first overall pick. I don't think they're going to trade the first pick. They'll maybe listen. But it'll probably end up being Shedeur for the Browns. And I still think that there will be a draft day trade with Atlanta for Kirk Cousins. And Cousins will be your quarterback starting the season. You'll have Shedeur in that room, and you'll have Kenny Pickett, and away you go. And you sort of prepare yourself for the future. You've got your bridge with Kirk Cousins. Unfortunately, they'll have to probably give up a 4th or 5th round pick to get him. But that was a smart move by Atlanta by giving them the $10 million to essentially secure themselves a mid-round pick.
Listen, y'all boys been on y'all homework. Y'all was very concise. Y'all was clear what y'all thought was going to happen. And I couldn't agree anymore. Everybody get yourself prepared. Wrong wrist. Yeah, wrong wrist. There it is. Just get it together. Understand it. It might be some people that might be a little disappointed in it. I understand it. I'm not sitting up here advocating saying that Shedeur Sanders is going to be knock people's socks off, or he's going to be the rookie of the year, or he's going to be a perennial all pro, or whatever the case may be. But the Cleveland Browns are going to make the decision that was difficult and the right decision. The Cleveland Browns understood that they needed a quarterback. And if the Giants were under any circumstance and thinking that Shedeur Sanders would be available, don't get it twisted. They would have taken Shedeur Sanders at 3. And if they could still get Shedeur Sanders at 2, I think that they wouldn't even mind having those 3 quarterbacks. Tommy DeVito would just have to get cut or traded. They would still bring in Shedeur Sanders. But for me, I think there's a clear signal that's being put out that the Cleveland Browns have decided Shedeur Sanders is the pick at number 2. And now it's just time for the fan base to either you liked it in the beginning or you didn't like it in the beginning, but they're just trying to tell you, go ahead, get your mind ready, get your personality ready, get your situation, because sure that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a Cleveland Brown. That's what my thoughts.
But I don't mind that. Like, I think we all on this panel can agree Kevin Stefanski can win with Shedeur Sanders. Like, you can speak to this, but my co-host of the Ultimate 216 show is Cecil Shorts. And me and Cecil talk a lot about, going through this draft process, and when you go to the combine and things like that. A lot of these draft experts, they break you down or build you up based on your height, your hand size, how much you weigh, and things like that. And they don't really consider, real football aspects. Like, basically what I'm saying is these same experts that would say Shedeur Sanders is not worthy of being the top 5 pick, when they rank his strengths and his weaknesses, to me, Dustin, all the things that they say are his strengths are the things that you need to be successful in the NFL.
Right.
And so I don't understand, and maybe you can help me understand, how can the same people that say, okay, he's weak here, he's strong here, evaluate the totality of the situation and say he's not really worthy of being the top 5 pick, but everything that they mark off as a strength, IQ, toughness, leadership, ball placement, accuracy.
Played a lot of games.
Like, played a lot of games. Being able to stand in the pocket and take a hit. These are all things that you want your NFL quarterback to be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I just don't think it's smart and fair to the players to speak in absolutes this time of year when you're talking about drafting a player. I mean, the kid's obviously a very talented guy. He's been brought up the right way. He understands the spotlight, all the things that you've got to do. He's been a great player every place he's played. His whole life, he's been a champion, essentially, with what he's done. I mean, not winning a national championship, but I mean, he's a winner. Turned a program around that was in the doldrums. A 1-11 team to the next year, 2 years, basically turning it into a 9-win Big 12 contender. I mean, they were almost in the Big 12 championship and could have made the college football playoff. So I'm not going to doubt the kid at all. I mean, I think he's a really good player, has the chance to be a really good pro. I like Cam Ward better. Probably can't get Cam Ward. So I'm not settling. It's just you're taking the guy that is going to be there, who I think could be a good pro. And I just think it's ridiculous to say it's not. You can't. When people say like he's not worthy of a top 5 pick, or about any player, not just Shedeur Sanders, any player, he's not worthy. It's too high. It's too big of. It's like, okay, man, talk to me in 2 years.
Right.
It's like if the Browns think that guy can play, they're going to take him. He plays the most important position. They don't have a quarterback, and they've got an opportunity to get a good one.
Do you guys think this is going to be very interesting to me, because for the last, I would say, 10, 12 years, the Browns have had very polarizing moves that have been made at quarterback. We can go back and start talking about it at Johnny Manziel. Some people even think Brady Quinn, Derek Anderson, Brandon Wheaton being 30 years old, taking them. And then you get to the point where now you got the Deshaun Watson, you have Baker. We all know those things. Now you got another one. I mean, this move is going to move the needle. I mean, you're right back. We thought we was going to let the coals die down on the barbecue. No. This is all. It's like being lifting weights with a partner, and the strength and conditioning coach says, no, it's still your set. It's you right back up. You're like, hold on, bro, I get my 15, 20 seconds. We are right back up with Shedeur Sanders. We are going to be leading SportsCenter, leading FS1. Skip Bayless gonna come back. Stephen A gonna talk about it. We all gonna be. We are right back up. Do you think the fan base is A, ready for that, and B, will they give him a legitimate shot to say, I'm gonna let Shedeur earn my admiration and earn my support? Or do you think it's gonna be an uphill battle for him to get that level of support right out the gates?
Oh, I think he'll get support right out the gates.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean,
you think the fan base will be all around?
So even if the fan base right now is split on Shedeur, Cleveland fans are loyal. Browns fans are faithful. Once he is selected and he puts on that brown and orange, whomever the player is, then I believe that Browns fans are going to give whoever that player is a fair opportunity to earn credibility and trust from the fan base. As far as being, prepared and ready for everything that comes with Shedeur Sanders, this is not the city of Cleveland's or the Browns' first rodeo. You done had Johnny Manziel. Yeah. You done had Odell Beckham. You made the trade for Deshaun Watson. So, like, this city and this franchise, how well, I don't know how well they can handle it, but they've been in this position before. I think at the end of the day, if Shedeur can come out here and be a baller and prove that he can play, that makes his moxie that much more attractive to the Cleveland Browns fans. So.
Let me ask you guys a question, because I wasn't here when the team drafted Baker Mayfield. Was Baker the consensus number one? Was everyone on board with Baker being the quarterback they took, or was it a mixed bag of who they wanted?
It was a mixed bag.
A huge mixed bag.
I wanted Baker, though, if I'm being honest.
Okay, before we go into that, hold on. So it was a mixed bag when they took Baker. When he came in on that Thursday night game against the Jets and led them to their first win, they unlocked the beer coolers, all that. Was it ever everyone all in on Baker?
Yeah.
Like, there was a point where he had changed the opinions of those who didn't want him at first, had converted them into believers, correct?
I think, well, let me go back, because I know Dustin was working for the Browns at that time. I just remember they had started the season with Tyrod Taylor. They were doing Hard Knocks. At the time, the coach came up to him and he says, "Hey, congratulations, you won. You won the second. Yeah,
Hugh Jackson said that.
Hugh Jackson said you won the backup position, starting the backup role, and everybody saw it on that. And Baker was pissed. Like you could tell he was kind of like, I can't believe you called me in to tell me that on national TV. So from that, everybody was like, I kind of like him, because I thought that was a jerk move by the coach to do that. So they had been playing, and I think they played a really close game, the first game against the Saints. And I think they lost at the last second because we missed a
I think they won. Help me out on this. But Tyrod Taylor was the quarterback, right? He threw a Hail Mary at the end of the game. Antonio Callaway caught it. Yep. But I was told that the throw was so inaccurate that it somehow ended up in Callaway's route tree or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
It was wild because everybody knew Tyrod Taylor was playing, and they was gonna let Tyrod Taylor play the rest of the season. He gets hurt against the Jets.
I was there, bro.
And Baker comes in, and he throws this dart to Landry. And it was a back shoulder seam ball. And first of all, we hadn't seen no throws in years. Like, it was like we didn't even get, when people say that was a big time throw, we hadn't seen big time throws, big time nothing. He threw that rock and the crowd went crazy, and we was like, oh, we might got something here.
I was at that game, and I remember before Baker came in, a lot of us, they was like in a TV timeout, and we can see Baker on the sidelines warming up. And that's when the crowd started to ramp up. By the end of the game, because that was the same game that we had broke that long losing streak. I remember earlier in the game, Isaiah Crowell, former Browns running back, scored a touchdown. He did the whole wipe your ass thing, throw it in the stands, right?
He was playing for it. Yep, he was playing for it.
Oh, that plus Baker coming in and saving the day. People think I'm joking. That stadium shook that night.
Hey,
it really
I was doing the sidelines.
You was doing sidelines for that game?
Yeah.
It was crazy, wasn't it?
What was it like when the buzz got around, like he was coming into the game?
Oh, dude, it was nuts. They were wearing all brown uniforms.
Yeah.
Thursday night
Remember they did
football.
the Philly special?
That's when we were also when they did the Philly special.
2-point conversion.
Oh, and that 2-point conversion.
Baker catches it and he got the picture.
And then he
And Higgins behind him, and he's doing like
bro. They was like, who was doing the call? They was like, oh, Cleveland, y'all got one. Y'all got something.
So that was my question, G. And Dustin, if you want to start on this, and then I want you guys all to chime in because I wasn't here. We saw the change in people once Baker got in the field and played well. And I was looking at his rookie year stats. He said all the rookie year records. For the whole discussion of is Shedeur worth a top 2 pick? Is he worth a top 5 pick? Is he whatever? If he comes in and plays well, who gives a crap where his preseason and pre-draft rank was, right? Like, he'll be able to change anyone who doesn't or didn't want him pre-draft into a believer if he comes in and delivers a strong rookie season. Am I wrong with making that assumption?
No,
Dustin?
you're 1,000% right. And by the way, I don't remember a lot of people after we drafted Baker that didn't really get excited about him because we needed a quarterback.
Yep.
You were looking for some sort of change. I mean, Tyrod Taylor was going to be the bridge until Baker got ready to go, and he was the number 1 overall pick. Mm-hmm. And then he comes into the game, he gets to that win against the Jets. The beer coolers get opened up across the city, and it was like electricity, dude. Man, it was a fun year. I mean, the Browns were 7-8-1 that year, I believe.
Yeah, and they were alive. The last game of the season, they go to Baltimore in that season. They needed to win, and Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh needed to lose or something like that, and they needed to beat Baltimore. It didn't end up happening, but that last game of the season against the Ravens, Baker throws for like 300+ yards. They come back in the game. Jarvis Landry makes a spectacular catch. They just come up a little short. And I always say about that season is that season was so fun for everybody, even though we didn't make the playoffs, because you had you for the first time, you was like, I can see where there's an off-ramp to getting off this treadmill. Mm-hmm. We now have a quarterback, and then Jarvis Landry came in, and then the very next season, by the way, that season, they promote Nick Chubb. And Nick Chubb was not, because it was Carlos Hyde was starting at the beginning of the season. Nick Chubb comes in and rushes for 200 yards, almost 200 yards a few games, and now you have a 1,000-yard young running back, and your backfield looks set between Baker and Chubb. And then the next year they get Odell Beckham Jr. in the side. I'll be like, bro, these dudes they're on fire. I think there was a lot of people, Earl, that was behind Baker during that season, even though they didn't make the playoffs, because for once looked like you had something.
For sure, man. Like Baker, listen, I wanted Baker. I'm not ashamed to say I wanted Baker Mayfield to be the quarterback. I think Baker was cool until he wasn't, right? I think for me personally, the whole Duke Johnson situation and the comments he made about Myles Garrett after the Mason Rudolph situation, that kind of would turn me off a little bit from Baker. You can talk all the shit you want to talk, have all the moxie you want, man. Just don't throw your brothers under the bus like that or make things like that public. As far as the fan base, maybe I'm a little naive. I think, man, once you don that brown and orange, the fan base is going to be behind you until you give them a reason not to. And so with Shedeur coming in with the star status that he comes in with, the confidence that he comes in with, if he embraces the city and really kind of move like Donovan Mitchell moves, for example, throughout this city, and then he performs well, even those who really didn't want him with the number 2 overall pick, they'd get on board, because at the end of the day, all Browns fans want is just to see this team win and be successful. And if he can contribute to that, they can care less who it is or where that person was drafted.
Agreed. I think he's gonna be. It's gonna be fun to watch because.
I mean, listen, I can get behind the pick. I mean, I really do like the player. I like Cam a little bit better.
Oh yeah,
but we're not getting Cam.
Yeah, if I could get Cam,
I don't think anyone's arguing that point.
Nah, you always take 1 over 2.
Last part of this, and we can
right?
move on. But we all in agreement. I think all 4 of us agree that the Wilson signing in New York points us in the direction of the Browns probably feeling pretty confident that they're going to take Shedeur Sanders. But it can't just be Kenny Pickett and Shedeur Sanders in the quarterback room. We got to get a veteran at some point to help round out that unit. Or you would think, maybe not have to, you would think they would. It looks like Flacco and Wentz are the only 2 options left, unless you wait for Kirk Cousins, which Dustin did allude to.
Yep.
I think
but
that's
Cousins said yesterday, or Albert Breer wrote yesterday, that Cousins doesn't want to get Penixed again and go to a team that's drafting a quarterback high. So if they take Sanders, he may not remove his no-trade clause to be sent to Cleveland. So how do you parse out those 3
guys?
potential options?
Where's Kirk Cousins going? Where's he going? Where he's so like
There's
not many places he's guaranteed a chance to go and be the starting quarterback right away. And we listen, Pittsburgh. Hopefully they sign Rodgers, so that takes them off the table for Kirk Cousins, and the Browns could then get Cousins to be their starting quarterback. He's 37 years old. He can barely walk and can barely throw.
Right.
So
if he was smart.
So if he's smart, like come be a starter for the Browns for this year and see what happens.
And you
know
how,
the system.
You know how Kev is. Kev. This could be one thing. Kev really does not throw his dudes under the bus during the middle of the season. If they wanted to make a move to Shedeur Sanders in the middle of the season, it would have to be because of injury or because Kirk Cousins couldn't lift his body off the ground. He's going to give him every opportunity because he's thinking like this. Kirk Cousins could give me an opportunity to win 9 games and I don't have to play my rookie quarterback. I keep my job. He keeps his job smooth.
See, me, if I had to pick, I'm going with Flacco, just for everything Dustin just said. Like, he's old, he's coming off an injury, he's proven to be slow. And I'm sorry, when Kevin Stefanski and everybody that's involved with the offense talk about, I need somebody that's going to make good decisions and extend plays, well, he's hurt. So how can he extend plays? Good decisions is 18 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. To me, that don't sound like a quarterback that can help you win games right away if you needed him to. He might still be rehabbing for all we know. Now, when it comes to Joe Flacco, I was out when we had Stump on the show. But I remember watching, and Stump was just talking about the impact that Flacco had in the locker room. I was in a space a couple weeks ago. Newsom talked about a Twitter space. Greg Newsom talked about, the impact Flacco had in the locker room when he was here. Everybody that you talk to and everything that you hear, Flacco was good for the quarterback room and the overall locker room. And this is a dude that I believe that, and he's proven it here in Cleveland, if he had to start off the season as the starting quarterback, he can win some games. Back to Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix got, 5 stars under his belt? He got 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. His completion percentage is not even 60%. And so when you look at that situation, you got a second-year head coach, you got a second-year GM. They don't want to get fired either. And so if Penix is not ready to go, if Penix somehow steps back, then you got Kirk Cousins there that's been in that system for a year and can step in and try to win some games. They are, in my opinion, more in line with trying to win right now than the Browns are. You got Bijan Robinson in that backfield. You got London at wide receiver. Kyle Pitts at tight end. You flip on the other side, you got Jesse Bates at safety. You got A.J. Terrell at corner. So you got some ballers over there to where they're trying to go out there and trying to go capture that division now. And I think when we talk about Kirk Cousins to Cleveland, you got to ask yourself, does it make sense for Atlanta long term? Yeah, they got Penix there, but who the hell going to be the veteran backup quarterback to him if they let their veteran go?
What if, guys?
Yeah, good.
Go ahead.
No, I just a couple thoughts on that. I mean, Kirk Cousins has already made $40 million. He's going to make another 40 or whatever it is, when it's all said and done. They just gave him this $10 million roster bonus.
Yep.
So, I mean, he doesn't like the Falcons, how they're handling this situation. Nope. He wanted to be released so that he could just pick and choose now, where to go. I just don't. I think that situation is probably a little untenable between the two parties, and we're just everybody's waiting to see what happens here with the first day of the draft, and then after that, I think he'll be moved.
I got one last thing before we move on, but Mary Kay just tweeted that the Browns worked out Cam Ward privately in Miami. Among those in attendance were Andrew Berry, Jimmy Haslam, and Kevin Stefanski. League sources, tell Cleveland.com. Is that normal, Dustin? If they weren't at Pro Day to have a private workout with them? I mean, it seems like they're just doing due diligence in the case he doesn't go number one. Or could this mean maybe they are in discussions to trade up to number one?
I think you're doing the due diligence regardless. I mean, the Browns are in the market for a quarterback. They've got to have one. You're going to work out all these guys. And, by the way, like, who cares? If you don't get him, you still got to put him through a workout. You got to interview the kid. You're going to play against him. He's going to be a good player. Yeah. So, maybe you get some trade secrets. You know what I mean? Yeah. Belichick did it all the time. Yeah.
Or, maybe, look, it's just one of those things. It's like maybe they was going to sell their soul for it. Like, if he would have came out of that workout, they said, listen, and everybody, the brass, the ownership was like, did you see that guy do that?
I pray Jimmy wasn't there. I hope it was just Andrew and Kevin.
Oh, no, he's there.
Don't let Jimmy see it.
Oh, he's there.
He was there.
Oh, Lord.
He there with the high tuck, too.
Man, he got 8 first round. He telling Andrew right now, whatever it take, go do it. Whatever it take.
If they would have came out blown away from it, like they would have came and said, all right, well, let's go ahead and we'll trade up. But at that point, he got to be cold. He got to be the truth if you're going to move up, because I think that would cost you. Wouldn't that be a number one pick for next year that they might want? Like, I think to move up from 2 to 1 and get a quarterback, I think the asking price is at least another one and swapping what they did.
I don't know if it's that much, another one, but yeah, you're going to pay a king's ransom to get the guy that they know you want. So.
Yeah. So, that may work. And my last thing is, I don't know that many quarterbacks that either went 1 or 2 that have been sitting to start the season. Mm-hmm. Are we under the
Drake May went 3 last year, and he was the last one in a while to go that high and not start immediately.
I mean,
Jacoby started for him.
Do you think, what's the chances right now if Shedeur is a pick? What chances around the horn do you think that Shedeur plays week 1 as the starter?
Well, right now, as it stands, it would be him and Kenny Pickett on the roster. The Browns is having Journey come in to do a concert on draft day.
It's not the real Journey.
Yeah, right. Shout out. Listen, they love him in the Philippines. He sounds just like him.
I mean, as it stands,
sounds just like him.
As it stands right now, as it stands right now, man, he would probably be the opening day starter.
So you got it majority about what, 70%, 75%?
I say about 70.
Your thoughts, Dustin? Week 1
for Shedeur to be the opening day starter.
Week 1.
I mean, like I kind of hope he's not.
That's it. See, that's another one of the next conversation. Hope and will he is 2 different things. Because
I just know the Browns, I know the fans, I know the owner. Right. Like, it's just the odds are he'll probably be the starter.
For content purposes, I hope it's like a couple weeks. So me, Mike, and Ant can sit back there, build the suspense, get everybody in the queue waiting for our Monday show. When it's announced, that's how you want to do it. The producer and me want it that way.
But if you Kevin Stefanski, do you get more of a reprieve if you say, I had a rookie quarterback and he started week 1 and look what he did, he balled out? Or does he get that same reprieve if they have a terrible record, but the starting quarterback was a retread or Kenny Pickett or somebody else and they go 1-5, but Shedeur looks good? After that, is there a better way that it works out for Stefanski to sit him or to play him?
Pearl?
I don't think it's a better way that works out either way. I just think that when you get to this off-season program and you get to training camp, it can't be like it was last year, right? It just can't be. And with everything that's on the line, I think Kevin is going to properly assess the situation with the QB coach and with the offensive coordinator and make a sound decision. I don't think that we're going to go into this upcoming season with the uncertainties that just unsure about everything. And I feel that way because Kevin came out immediately and said he was calling plays. So I think every decision that's made about this position and about this offense is going to be stern, it's going to be sound, and it's going to be quick. So everybody can be on the same page and get this thing moving in the right direction.
East start, McNuggets. Go ahead.
All right, let's move on to our next topic. We'll talk a little Cavs. Guys, a quick reminder that March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. That is $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, even who's cutting down the nets. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and get in on all the college hoops action all tournament long. Speaking of hoops action, the Cavs beat the Portland Trailblazers last night. Garland snapped out of his slump, scored 27, had 8 assists. All in all, the Cavs come back out of this West Coast road trip with 2 wins, 3 losses, but they finished strong, winning 2 in a row to wrap it up here. G, what was your big takeaway from the win last night over Portland?
That's the way you're supposed to play, Darius Garland. I called you out. It's not like you listen or something, but that's the way. That's what people need to see. This is the level that you need to play at when, you don't have Donovan Mitchell playing. Like that level of aggressiveness, that level of shot making, the level of intensity that you need to play with in order to beat good teams. Now, look, I take away from the fact that this was Trailblazers. I'm not going to knock them.
Yeah, but they're still fighting for that 10 spot to try and get in, so they're playing for something. They're at home. I mean, you're on the road, West Coast. It's still a tough spot.
No, it's tough to play in Portland. It's extremely. And who's this Avi guy? Who's this guy?
Danny Avdia.
This dude been giving us buckets for a couple of games now. And Scoot Henderson, shout out to him. I haven't heard you since the G League Ignite, and you cooking right now. So they play very well at home. I'll give them credit for it. No Donovan Mitchell, Sam Merrill in the starting lineup. That's kind of wild.
I like that move though.
I like
because you kept your bench intact.
Yeah. So for me, listen, it was a good win. Darius did what he needed to do, and that's what I need to see. If Donovan is not playing, when he's not on the floor, I need you to be the floor general. You need to get it done. 27 last night. I thought he shot the ball well. Good job, Darius.
So last Saturday on the radio when we talked about the Cavs, I kind of labeled it toughness on trial. I thought the physical and mental toughness of this team was being put on trial. You go to the last game of a 5-game West Coast road trip to where the trip really didn't turn out the way you planned it to. There's something psychologically there that says, okay, as soon as this game over with, we hopping on the plane and we getting home. And so the Cavs could have checked out mentally, but they didn't. As far as on the court, the thing that stood out most to me, they hit the ground running. I think they hit their first 4 or 5 shots. And to me, that set the tone early. If you look just throughout this trip and look at the games, how the Cavs started off, they kind of started off slow shooting the ball early on in the first quarter. And so to see the ball go through the basket early on in that game, I thought that, it kind of helped them set the tone and carry that momentum throughout. They had a strong second quarter defensively. They only gave up 19 points to the Blazers. And like Dustin said, you playing in a hostile environment on the road against a very young and very athletic team that is clawing at trying to get into the play-in. So, you got to give the Cavs credit for their toughness being on trial, and at least for last night, checking out both of the boxes.
Well, and guys, they were so efficient last night, the Cavaliers. I mean, they only took 88 shots. They made 48.
Yeah.
54%.
Yeah.
They shot 44% from 3, 12 of 27, when the Blazers shot 52 stinking three-pointers last night. They missed 35.
That was crazy.
Missed 35.
That was crazy.
I mean, just insane. So the Cavs were super efficient offensively. I like the way they moved the ball. I like that Ty Jerome stepped up again. The dude can just drop 25, 30 points whenever he needs
That's
to.
my boy, man.
Your boy.
That's my boy. Touch Jerome.
Steph Jerome.
You guys claiming him now?
Listen, no, Earl's been claiming him. I don't know how he.
That was my big ball prediction at the start of the season.
I don't know. This is one of the greatest pulls of all time. Like the fact that he picked Ty Jerome out of a hat was wild to me. Listen, I look, Ty Jerome, Steph Jerome. The fact that he has this slow Euro step down is kind of wild.
Oh, boy, so Cavalier, it ain't even funny.
See what you did there. See what you did. Listen, and plus two, I give Kenny Atkinson a little credit. The easy thing would have been to do would be like, nah, Donovan, you were scheduled to have these days off, but you ain't having no days off. We wanted something on this road trip. He still let Donovan have the day off, right? He still, let him get his rest or whatever the case may be. He didn't really push it. He wanted to have a tough practice after, I believe, after the Suns game, but he didn't. He listened to his guys, and they played horse. So, he's keeping it loose. He's keeping it light. and I think his team appreciates that. The next thing I want to see coming off this road trip is how they finish the rest of the season and what's the strategy going to be.
10 games left.
It's 10 games left. Obviously, they're going to have to go pretty much doggone undefeated if they want to get the record for the most wins in a season for the, I guess,
Man, I can care less about the record.
And that's what I'm saying.
I don't care about any of that.
I don't care about it. At this point, it's about what's your rotation, Dustin? And
are you healthy?
And you got your health about
Bingo.
you. And are you guys hitting on all cylinders getting into the playoffs?
And they are. I mean, at least last night. And we didn't even have Donovan. So, I mean, I just think that it's a good spot for them to be in right now. That losing streak, I think, a little blessing in disguise.
Oh, listen, I love the losing streak. I'm not hating.
I don't love it.
I liked
love
it.
I don't ever love losing.
I don't like losing.
But after the fact, I can be okay. Maybe we needed that.
Yeah, listen. This little nudge.
Nobody likes to lose, but Dustin is right. Like, if you really to me, sports and real life got a lot of parallels, right? And you learn the most about yourself when you take L's. Like, you grow the most in your life when something bad happens or when you kind of like behind the 8 ball. And so, quite naturally, losing or painful moments, it creates opportunity to be better and to grow. Like, you can grow when not everything is not being rocked to the left or anything like that, but it don't really hit the same unless you really go through something serious or a hardship. So to me, it's like, yeah, you don't want to lose, but in order to win, man, you got to take an L sometimes. So
It was a good win for Cleveland. We did a Cavs show this morning, Jason and I. We talked about the mental fortitude it takes to win a game like that at the end of a long West Coast road trip where you haven't been back in your own bed, you haven't seen your family, you haven't seen your kids, etc. in over a week. That's usually a checkout day against a team that was fighting for playoff positioning, and the Cavs came out and just frankly played better than Portland. It was a good win, but they need to go 9-1 down the stretch here, G, if they want to break the team record for most wins in a season. I know it doesn't matter, but let's look at these next 10 games. They got to go 9-1 to break it. I'll give you the opponents. You guys tell me if you think they can. Thursday, they got San Antonio, no Fox or Wemby, at home.
Man, that's better. That better be a dub.
1. Then they're at Detroit on Friday.
Detroit is decent. They're battling. You better still win the game. I don't care.
Then they're back home Sunday against the Clippers, a little rematch from this earlier road trip.
Man, you got to get some get back. But Clippers is playing better. And
That's
Johnson,
3.
That's 3.
Knicks at home Wednesday.
That's tough. I think
You want to put that as your potential loss right there?
They're at home.
they are at
They don't
home.
lose at home.
All right, that's 4. 4-0.
All right.
On the road in San Antonio. Still
That's-
no Wemby,
that's
no
a win.
Fox.
That's a dub.
That should be a win.
Home versus Sacramento.
They better get back there at
You
home.
better get it back.
Home versus Chicago.
They don't even
God,
got
the Bulls have
nobody.
been playing good lately, though.
They have.
You can't let Dusumo.
That's
kill
a
you.
trap game, I think. It's just kind of like a sneaky little trap game,
It
aren't the
is.
Bulls trying to get into the play-in?
Yeah, they're
believe
in
so.
one of the playing spots. Yep.
which is crazy.
I'm with Dustin. That's a trap
Man, I'm
game.
not-
All right,
take-
so that means if that's the case, so far they've won the first 6. They lose to Chicago. They'd have to win the next 3. At Indiana, at the Knicks, home versus Indiana.
They not
Can
winning
they
all
sweep
3 of
that?
those.
No.
They not winning all 3 of
At
those.
the Knicks is an L.
At Indy might be.
That might be an L too.
At Indy might be the L. Then you close out the season at home against the Pacers at 1 o'clock on the Sunday.
I got them losing 3 games down the stretch.
So you see them going 7-3, which would put them 1 win shy of LeBron's team record. Still a hell of a regular season.
I don't really think they care.
No, they don't. I'm just doing this for fun. They
Yeah.
don't give a
How
rat's
many
ass
wins is
about
that? 65?
it. If they went 7-3, if they went 7-3 right now, they are 58-14. So 7 wins would be at 65.
Okay, that's all right.
I wouldn't even mind, like, low-key, falling short of it. So that we're not talking about that.
Yeah, like, or they don't have to be a talking point. The Cavs have had their best regular season of all time. They're going into the
You just
playoffs.
don't want it to, like, hang over their heads in the playoffs where they get down in a series and they're like, shit, man, we had a great year. But you don't want the big but. It's like, just get there, and then there's not like, oh,
I think just by them leading pretty much wire to wire, being the best team with the best record from wire to wire, I think that's going to hang over their head all postseason. That's the first thing people are going to say is they had a great
They
year.
gotta prove it.
But what are you going to do next round? But
Gotta prove it, man.
What are you going to do this round? Like, can you beat the Celtics?
But I think they already locked into that mentality. Like Donovan,
I hope so, man.
Yeah, like Donovan Mitchell says it all the time. He speaks about that as an individual and as a team. Donovan is a superstar, and he's not considered an upper echelon superstar. That's because he ain't got the trophies in the trophy case. And he understands in order to be stamped and to be seen in that light, then you're going to have to win the championship. But this team as a whole understand, based on everything that they've been through last season and the season before that they ain't really done a damn thing. And in order to get respect and credibility, you're going to have to at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals this year.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This team better show some fire. And, like, I'm sick and tired of seeing people say, well, they're not going to do anything in the playoffs because they don't have any tough guys.
Yeah.
They don't have it. They're soft. They're
Yeah.
too finesse. They're
Yeah.
too this. They're great. They're built for the regular season. Like, shut that down.
Yeah, they're going to have
there
to.
are-
Silence everybody. Silence the haters, the doubters, whatever you want to call them. Like, silence them right off the rip in the postseason, because I don't want to hear that stuff, man.
There is and this is a thing. I get it. I know people want to be nice guys, but there is a switch you got to switch. I'm sorry.
It's a different team than last year, though. So I don't.
Gotta flip it.
And 2 years ago, it's a completely different deal. These players have evolved. They've got a new coach. There are new players on the team too. I think that they. Well, I think.
Jared
I
Allen.
hope they prove people wrong.
Jared Allen, you might need to go ahead and get the cornrows going.
I just think the whole.
Yeah, dude,
Jared
come out, man. Go get a
Allen,
tattoo or something.
Yeah, Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell, get a neck tattoo. Darius Garland, I think
Get you some lips, man.
Listen, something.
Get you some. What's his name?
No, don't get no lips. Don't get no lips. Do not do that. Don't do that.
Darius,
know.
this is your finish move. You be doing this all the time when you be hitting three. You look like Big Poppy. You be like this.
Kenyon Martin lips.
Yeah, get you some lips somewhere, bro. I need y'all to be thugged out at least. When we listen, we'll let that go the first round. Second round, I need to see all the thugs.
That is insane. That is insane.
Just to be like, go
that's
get
an
tattoos.
insane ass take. But I don't know. I don't.
Pretty hilarious, actually.
I don't really see the team as soft as everybody else do. I think like when you be around a team and you just kind of like fill them out a little bit, like, and Mike, you can speak to this too. Like I think like Matt Strus for example, is a dude you ain't gonna he ain't gonna let nobody step to him. Tristan Thompson, I think he built the same way. A quiet assassin in that locker room is Sam Merrill. Sam got a little edge to him. He got a little edge to him. Ty Jerome, like he stand on business. To me, you have guys in that locker room. They might not look like they tough on the surface or anything like that, but they ain't no punks. And that's really pretty much what you want. Donovan Mitchell, for sure, he ain't no punk. So I think they hear the noise and they understand what's being said about them. Like, all the Cavs got to do is keep their eyes on their own paper, close out the regular season healthy, get to the playoffs, man. And like Dustin said, man, just shut all of that shit down as soon as you possibly can.
Let's see.
We'll talk a little more Cavs later in the show. We're going to talk Guardians in a few minutes too, but also a reminder, tomorrow, opening day for the Guardians. It is also the first in-season Ultimate Guardian show of the year, coming at you at 10 a.m. Zach and Bull will be joining you guys once a week throughout the MLB season, talking all things Guardians. It's the best Guardian show in the city of Cleveland, so make sure you guys tune in tomorrow morning for their first in-season episode of the Ultimate Guardian show. We will talk Browns again, though, guys, and there was a report from Josina Anderson that came out yesterday. Steve, if you want to take tag here, that the Browns are, quote, potentially open to trading back from the number 2 overall pick in next month's draft. So we're going to play a little game of fill in the blank. Earl, we'll start with you. 2 blanks in this sentence.
2 blanks in a sentence.
It would be blank of the Browns to trade down because blank. Floor's yours.
It would be effed up for the Browns to trade down in the draft because you need a MFing quarterback.
Well said.
Yeah, that was wild.
We'll go around the horn. Dustin, you're up next,
and
then we can expand on them.
It would be dumb to trade down from 2 because you suck at quarterback.
Yeah. It would be Minimowski to trade back from 2 because F them picks.
All right, so on the same page. G, we'll go reverse order here. You're up first. If the Browns trade down, do you think people are going to riot? Like, will people legitimately be upset that they're
riot? That is crazy.
Bro,
I mean, maybe not riot.
You met Browns fans? They are they'll buy into whatever the Browns do, man.
I mean, look, there'll be some people. Here's the new wave. If you're a person who just says you're calm about everything, you feel like that's the nice way to get both guys on your steady. I'm not. I don't see it's not going to be a big problem.
No.
If they drafted somebody, it'll be some people that be upset. But for the people that know football, knows how dire of a stretch that is. That means that you trade it back so other teams can get better players because you feel like I got a better opportunity to get one good player because I have multiple picks now. So now if I take an L.
I agree with Dustin. See, I'm the only one. I've been in this game the least amount of time, right? And there's a huge difference when you are a consumer of media versus a producer of media. Your thought process, your vision is different. And as just a casual Browns fan, anytime the Browns made a move, I used to talk myself into it.
You gonna talk
the
yourself
Browns
into
used to
it.
draft players I had never. Barkevious Mingo.
Oh, God.
When the Browns drafted Barkevious Mingo, I had never heard of Barkevious Mingo, right? But because the Browns did it, I talked myself into, you know what, this is a good move. They see something, they know something we don't know. They're going to get him in this building and get everything turned around. So, like, I agree with that. Like, Browns fans will find themselves in a position to where they'll talk themselves into believing any and every single thing that the Cleveland Browns do.
Somebody try to talk me into something. Watch this. You always beware of somebody that say the Browns should just take a lineman, and you ask them what lineman, and they don't know the name. So, what are you talking about?
Browns need a guard. What guard? What guard they going to
guard
take?
you like? Oh, I don't know.
They just need a guard. They need a
just
guard.
one. But you tell me, I can't. We don't need a quarterback, and I can tell you which one I want and which one I seen. Like Browns fans will get. Listen, it be state-run media. That propaganda runs tough, boy. They will tell you. They'll be excited about whoever they bring up there, and then halfway through the season, Earl, we'd be like, dang.
I got a homie right now who wants the Browns to draft Mason Graham, right? And Browns won't do this, but if the Browns are to draft Mason Graham, I can hear people now. It makes sense. You re-sign Miles, you put him right next to Mike Hall Jr. Now you done fix the pass rush. Isaiah McGuire or Alex Wright is going to develop. Now you got you a solid defensive line. I'm telling you, no matter who they draft, you are going to find yourself in a position of talking yourself into that was the right pick.
Smart move, Dustin. Smart move. You always build in the trenches.
Smart.
Mason Graham, former wrestler. Look what he did to Ohio State. He single-handedly beat Ohio State himself. 6'2", he's a two-gapper, very strong with his hands. He's a disruptor. I mean, now
he's going to make Alex Wright better.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to make Isaiah Thomas and McGuire. I tell you what, this is a whole.
You got the talking points down.
This is a slam dunk, Dustin. I take a look. You're building the trenches right now, and the Browns, they're not that far off. They're not that. I know they can't score any points, but if you can get teams to score under 5 points a game, the Browns
defensive
are right
line
there.
is going to make sure that they only score 3.
Stop, man. Come on.
Talk ourselves in it. Well, I don't want to talk myself.
Yeah,
I used to, but I've learned, man. Like covering this team long enough will do. It'll make you come to your senses eventually.
It's almost like you get older and you talk yourself out of like getting in long-term relationships, and then you just realize, hold on, bro, I can't be doing all this work myself.
Yeah,
I got to pay all the bills. I got to pay all the car insurances. I got to keep the house clean. Listen, this is ridiculous. I need to get me somebody. If you don't got no quarterback, what are we doing? Do y'all want to talk about Deshaun Watson on next year? I know y'all don't. Do y'all?
No.
Because we could do that.
What about? His newest TikTok video?
You're right. Look, see? I don't want no parts of it. I just want, give me my quarterback so we can keep it pushing.
So y'all play 2K?
Yes.
2K, no.
All right.
I know all about it, but I don't play it.
My brother said Deshaun Watson spent all his VC on tattoos this offseason.
Them virtual coins is hard to come by too.
Yeah.
Them boys, they not. Yeah. I will say this though. When I look at them trading back, I don't think that there is a good enough scenario in which it's going to work out. I think I think what happened with Russell Wilson messed the whole trade market up. There is no trade back. There is no partnership. There's not even a trade for one.
Man,
when I look at this, let me chime in real quick, Earl, then you guys could let me know what you think. There are 2 guys in this class that aren't quarterbacks that I think have like elite prospect written all over them: Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. if you were to trade back, the only way you trade out of 2 is by ensuring you stay in the top 4.
Right.
Now, maybe the Giants would trade up to try and get ahead of you. If that's on the table, so be it. But after
There you go,
signing
speaking
Russ
in absolutes
Wilson,
again, Mikey.
what do you say?
There you go, speaking in absolutes. What'd you say? Can't miss, or what was the?
No, I'm saying looking at the board, there's obviously other guys will be good, but in my uninformed, I'm not a draft nerd. It seems like there's 2 guys that you can't seem to miss in this draft.
It seems that a lot of guys that don't know anything think this about.
Yes,
this
I know.
year.
That's what I'm telling you. I am hand up. I am not a draft.
Oh, by the way, I am too. I don't study these. None of us do.
I don't either.
None
But you
of
know
us
what I
spend
do?
12 hours a day.
You know what I
watching
do?
tape.
I defer to guys who's actually been through this process
And
been
stay with us
there
for 5 minutes because
Yeah.
at noon, Greg Cosell is going to break this shit down.
Yes.
Because it's crazy.
So listen to Greg. But here's my point.
Wait,
Sorry,
but
Mike.
it's
Sorry,
to
Lloyd.
It's to Mike's point though, because they'll say you're taking a flyer on one of these quarterbacks, but in actuality, you're taking a flyer on Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter as
On
well.
every player's a flyer.
Yep,
Yes,
there you
every
go.
player's a flyer. But the way I see this, from my 2 cents, you can't trade back past 4 because then you're missing out a chance to either get Carter or Hunter if you don't draft a quarterback. I don't think the Patriots are trading up from 4 to 2. They don't need a quarterback. The Giants just signed Russ Wilson and Jameis Winston. If they thought Shedeur would be there at 3, I'm not sure they're signing it, so I don't think they're a trade partner now. I'm not trading back to 6, 7 to get a guy who is viewed as a tier lower than where you're drafted. You don't have the second pick in a draft because your roster's full of talented blue chip guys. You get the second pick in a draft because your roster desperately needs talent. The Browns need blue chip caliber prospects. And whether they take Shedeur Sanders at 2, if they don't take Shedeur, it has to be Hunter or Carter, in my opinion, because those guys project to the highest caliber possible at the NFL level. Will they hit? We don't know. It's all projections. It's all calculated risk. But I'm not trading back past 4, and I don't think 3 and 4 are trade candidates. So for me, unless you're making a Godfather offer with your next 7 first-round picks, I'm out on trading back.
I think whenever you say you're open to trading back, I think you're smart to be open for business. I think anytime that you're closed off or closed-minded to anything and put yourself in a box, you're doing yourself a disservice. So hearing that the Browns are open to trading back, I mean, that's common sense. Let the math, right? But to me, you stay right where you are and you take a quarterback because you don't have a quarterback. Stop trying to outsmart everybody. Stop trying to think that you got this type of formula that everybody else don't have. If you trust Kevin Stefanski to develop quarterbacks, if you trust Tommy Rees as this mastermind, innovative young guy that's next up, if you trust like the promotion of Musgrave as your quarterback coach, then take the quarterback that you need because your franchise only has one right now on the roster. Develop this quarterback and move forward. You only mess around like that if you don't really trust the growth and development of your coaches with said player.
Man.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, you don't. And furthermore, I don't know where people have been watching the same NFL I've been watching. Anytime that you say, okay, there ain't nothing in this year's draft, but next year's draft is better. Like, when have you ever seen a consensus number 1 overall pick that somebody at quarterback was there available to take and they traded the pick?
So we all seen it coming into this year. You know how they do at the end of the college season, this projected top 5 class. Quinn Ewers was projected to be the first quarterback off the board. Quinn Ewers might go in the 3rd or 4th round this year.
I remember Matt Barkley was going to be the first pick, and then he ended up going in the 4th round.
Matt Leinart was supposed to be the first pick, goes 11.
Yeah.
Jake Locker was supposed to be the first pick, comes back to Washington. He's not as good as we thought he was. Plus, if we do have a generational guy like John Elway or Trevor Lawrence, who turned out to not be generational, or Andrew Luck, or any of these guys, were they open to being traded? No.
No.
No one. You're not getting those picks. So if you're we'll just have to pony up and give them 4 number 1s. That don't work for quarterbacks. You don't trade Jordan. You can't trade enough picks in the world. Did the Cavs, were they open for business when LeBron was on the board? No.
No, they wasn't.
You could have offered 70 first
It is the
picks.
most hilarious thing in the world to believe. Let's say hypothetically Archie Manning does turn out to be him, right? That he's that dude. It is the most asinine thought process that somebody else that's quarterback needy and knows that his last name is Manning and he actually checks off all the boxes is going to trade the picks to you so that you can get a guy that's going to change your franchise when they need to change theirs too. Again, I think when people come up with these scenarios, 1 + 1 = 3 to them, not 2.
Well, listen, we got somebody that's going to make the math coming up here in a minute. But, Mikey, let's
Do
get
a
it done.
quick ad read. We're going to bring in our guest today, But first, FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. March Madness is here, guys, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. That is $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories. You can even pick who's going to cut down the nets when it's all said and done. Just head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome in the godfather of NFL film breakdowns. It is Greg Cosell of the NFL Network. How you doing today, Greg? Thanks so much for joining us.
Greg. Do we have Greg?
We had Greg.
I am here.
Greg. Hey, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good. It's been a minute, man. Good to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Dustin, it's always great to be with you. How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. I've sort of transitioned from radio into doing more of this podcast stuff, which is seems to be you can make some money working less. So that's what I'm doing now.
I wish I could do that. I think I've been working 7 days a week since like last August 15th or so. So I wish I could figure that out.
And you work 7 days a week for the last 30 years of your life. You're a grinder, and that's why
that's true.
You are, man. And we respect your knowledge and how much time you put into this more than anybody. I mean, we just sit here and talk about guys that we don't watch the tape on, but you do. We watch some tape. We watch game tape.
I can't compromise my process. That's my problem. I can't compromise my process because then I don't feel good about it.
Well, your process works. I mean, it's been proven because we've been having. I mean, shoot, I met you in 2011, and every year since then, man, you just keep nailing these picks, and not necessarily nailing the picks, but you nail the traits. You nail. What you see in these guys. You take out all of the other BS. You don't care about if they go to church or not. You know what I mean? You care about what they do on the field, right?
Well, that's why, Dustin, I always love, because obviously we all have to be on social media these days. I always love when people say to me, well, that's an interesting take. I mean, I don't do takes. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to be right about everybody because, hey, you and I could look at the tape of a guy and we could see it a little differently. But I don't do takes. Everything I say is based on watching the tape.
All right, so let's talk some tape. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. I think all of us here on this show like Cam Ward more than Shedeur Sanders.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, Brown sitting at 2, we're sort of I think talking ourselves into Shedeur Sanders more than Cam Ward at this point. Can you just give us your assessment of each player? I know it's kind of an open question there, but where do you lie with those two players?
Well, it's funny. I think when you look at players at any position, Dustin, you start with their traits, their attributes, their characteristics. And then there's other factors that obviously come into play. But I don't think anybody would argue that Cam Ward doesn't have higher level quarterback traits than Sanders. Mm-hmm. He's got a live arm. He's got a playmaking dimension. He can work effectively from the pocket at all three levels of the defense. He can sit on his back foot and drive the ball. I mean, he makes big-time NFL-type throws. Are there times when he's a little reckless, when he's a little undisciplined? And I'm certainly not making a direct comparison, so I don't want people to think I am. But I remember when Patrick Mahomes came out, one reason he was picked 10th was because there was a concern with him that there was a reckless, undisciplined nature to his game, and how would that play in the league? And obviously we've seen how that turned out. And as I said, I'm not suggesting that in 3 years we'll be saying Cam Ward's Patrick Mahomes. But there's no question that there is that element to his game that probably needs to be cleaned up. And sometimes that happens, Dustin, as you know, with experience. Mm-hmm. The guy starts playing and realizes, hey, I can do that, but I can't do that. Right. So you just don't know. But there's no question when you're dealing just with pure physical traits, throwing a ball, movement ability, Cam Ward would be clearly the #1 quarterback prospect in this draft.
Greg, I want to get to another top blue chip prospect. People will say there's 3 or 4 maybe in this draft class. You take a look. We just talked about Cam Ward. There is Travis Hunter, but then there is Abdul Carter. When you watch him on the edge, he's, I believe, about 250 pounds. And based on your evaluations, what you've seen in edge rushers before, you have guys like Micah Parsons who played for Penn State. You got like Devon Millers, obviously the Myles Garrett at Texas A&M. He's a little bit bigger. Where would you put his skill set in terms of their skill sets when they were coming out, and how does he kind of project in terms of a every down, 3-down player?
Yeah, I think right now you're looking at a guy that is a tremendous athlete. I mean, he's got the size, the length, the athletic profile. I think one thing that he needs to work on, and I've learned this by talking to offensive linemen and hear what they tell me about players that they have to block. I think the one element of his game that must continue to develop is the power element. There's no question that he's bendy, he's flexible, he's explosive. That's all there. And that's not hard to evaluate. You just see it. He can get underneath offensive tackles. He can clear the top of the pass rush arc. He can flatten his rush path to the quarterback, which a lot of guys can't do. That's a trait that is really, really important, to be able to flatten your rush path and not just get pushed past the quarterback. But I think the power element of his game needs to continue to develop, and that may be because until this year he wasn't really an edge pass rusher. So, for instance, I know a lot of people make the comparison to Micah Parsons, and he was essentially, Carter was deployed in much the same way this year at Penn State as the way Parsons has been deployed with the Cowboys, but Parsons is a stronger, more powerful player at this moment in time. So that's the part of Carter's game that needs work, and it's a meaningful part of his game. You need a power element to be able to rush the quarterback in the NFL on a consistent basis.
Greg, when you go back to Shedeur Sanders here, when you look at his strengths and his weaknesses and your breakdown, in your opinion, what is the biggest weakness that he has that can hold him back from having success in the NFL? And then what is his strongest strength, so to speak, that can propel him to having much success at the next level?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about Shedeur Sanders. I mean, he's an easy, natural thrower, which you saw throughout his tape. I actually watched him for 3 years in a row because I kept thinking he was going to come out. And of course, he didn't until this year. He's pretty precise with his ball location. That's a strength of his game. He's pretty much a pure pocket quarterback. I would say he's got a very good feel for the game. I think this, to me, he's the perfect kind of quarterback that raises the question of sort of a macro 30,000-foot view of the quarterback position in the league, because you're dealing with a pocket quarterback who has certain higher level traits in terms of ball location, understanding defenses, and those are traits, by the way, the same as we talk about arm strength. Those are traits. But he doesn't have a big arm. He needs the system to work for him. There are certain things he needs to clean up. And we know he didn't play behind a good offensive line. We all get that. But he has a really glaring tendency to retreat backwards when he feels pressure, which you cannot do in the NFL. And he also has a tendency to hold the ball with one hand when he feels pressure. That can be cleaned up. So you're dealing with a guy that is, and I hate to use this term, but everybody understands it. In many ways, he's a system player. And of course, all quarterbacks are, but he will need a complete offense. He will need a run game. He'll need a good O-line. He'll need good receivers. He needs the passing game schematics to work for him. But he's a very easy thrower. He does throw the ball well on the run, but he's not a creator. He's not going to make plays outside of structure. He can certainly run the play-action boot game, but he's not necessarily going to make plays outside of structure. So, he's one of those, think of the Kirk Cousins type of quarterback. And I know some people might think, oh, Kirk Cousins, what's he? Well, for 5, 6, 7 years in a row, Kirk Cousins threw 35 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. And I imagine, let's say the Cleveland Browns drafted him and he threw 35 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. I think you guys might be pretty happy with that.
So a follow-up to what you just said, Greg, because you said, Shedeur is a guy that needs to be in a complete system. I talked to Brian Howell, who covers the Colorado Buffalo, and he spoke to the relationship that Shedeur has with Pat Shurmur. Now, we all know here in Cleveland, Pat Shurmur and Kevin Stefanski has a solid relationship. Do you think Shedeur Sanders will be a good fit, seeing the parallels from Pat Shurmur to Kevin Stefanski right here in Cleveland?
Well, Look, Stefanski has a lot of experience with quarterbacks that, you would not say from a physical traits perspective would be high level. So I think a lot of people think that, hey, Shedeur would be, a nice fit for Stefanski. But then you need a run game. Who's the back this year? The O-line's been pretty good over the last couple of years. I assume it's still going to be pretty good. So that could work out very, very well. The way I would describe Shedeur is he's an executor. He's an efficient executor and a ball distributor. And there's nothing wrong with that. He doesn't give you a playmaking dimension. It's easy to see the traits of Cam Ward and quarterbacks that have big arms and can make plays outside of structure. Sometimes it's a little more subtle and nuanced to see the traits of a Shedeur Sanders type of quarterback, whose game is not like that, but, who ultimately functions well as a pocket player. But as I said, he does need to clean a few things up. Keep one thing in mind. It's easy to always say that a quarterback who gets sacked a lot, that it's a bad O-line, and I'm not saying that the O-line was good at Colorado. It obviously wasn't, but teams have done studies through the years, and quarterbacks that get sacked a lot in college tend to get sacked a lot in the NFL. Look at Caleb Williams. Everybody said, "Oh, USC bad O-line, gets to the Bears, leads the league in quarterback sacks." So that's just something to be aware of. Again, it's not all on Shedeur Sanders, but he does have that tendency to retreat backwards, and that absolutely must be cleaned up.
Greg, I've got a question on two other quarterbacks that intrigue me in this draft. First, I'm start with Jalen Milroe. I'm enamored with his athletic ability, but I don't know if he can be a quarterback in the league. You tell me.
It's really funny. I watched him last summer, and I had some clear questions about Milroe, and which the tape told me. I mean, that's what I do. The tape speaks. I don't make this up. The tape speaks. And I thought that there were some clear things that needed to be worked on. In fact, I wrote down 4 things that had to be worked on. I said ability to recognize coverage, ability to process it quicker, where to go with the ball within timing and structure of the route concepts, ability to better navigate the pocket. And then, based on what happened this year, there was a sense, I think, I'm just seeing some games on Saturdays, there's a sense that, he was worse. I actually thought he was better, believe it or not, when I watched the tape, and I watched a lot of games. I thought that he showed some improvement in a number of those areas. Now, he's still not a precision and nuanced and subtle player, but the explosiveness in his game as a runner. A lot of people now have made the comparison to Jalen Hurts, who's obviously hit the run element of Hurts, both by design and scrambling, which just demoralizes defenses. We saw that all year. We saw it in the Super Bowl, particularly in the third quarter. This guy is a commanding physical presence as a runner, which you rarely say about quarterbacks. He can take the design quarterback run game to another level, and that changes the numbers in the run game for the defense, changes the way, Dustin, this, it changes the way the defense has to play, 100%. And that's a big deal. That can't be overstated, by the way. We always think quarterbacks, they just got to throw from the pocket, and obviously they do, but that's a huge factor in the NFL now. The quarterbacks that can move by design, it really changes the geometry for the defense.
Mahomes can move better than a lot of quarterbacks. Allen is a huge runner. 2-time MVP, Lamar Jackson, he's one of the most dynamic players we've ever seen. It's like that. That's why I think I'm intrigued with Milroe. I think that he could do some of that stuff.
And it's very possible. And I think that's going to be the discussion in draft meetings. Right. It's easy to look at Milroe and say, gee, he's not a precision passer. That's easy to say. Everybody, any scout worth his salt is going to know that. And like I said, I thought he was a little better this year, but he's certainly not at the level you would want him to be as an NFL quarterback.
All right.
But the other elements of his game are really intriguing, and they're tough for a defense to defend. It's a big deal. When you line up in the gun on almost every play, and there's a back right next to you, first of all, you have the zone read element option on every single play. And the defense has to be aware of that. They've got to have an extra defender who's ready to be a box player and to defend the quarterback. And that just changes the whole symmetry and geometry of how defenses have to play. Look, you played in college a number of years ago. I'm sure there were more, running quarterbacks then. Maybe there weren't. I can't remember. But
we had to change our entire defense in the 2003 Fiesta Bowl because L. Roberson was a hell of a runner for Kansas State. We put in this whole defense that we never ran before.
Right. I mean, yeah, and you got it now. That's becoming more and more part of the NFL. So look at someone like Joe Burrow. Now, Joe Burrow at his core is a pocket quarterback. Obviously, he's got an unbelievable feel for the pocket, and he's a better athlete than people give him credit for. But as a pocket quarterback, he is so high level, pre-snap and post-snap, which almost gets back to the point I was, when we were talking about Shedeur. If you're essentially a pure pocket quarterback, do you have to be so high level, or can you not really play now in this league at a high level anymore because defenses have changed and become so good that if you don't have any kind of second reaction outside of structure ability, is it just too hard to play?
Mm-hmm. Hey, last question for me, and before G. Bush has a really important question. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. I don't know what to make of him because of the system and basically that. I mean, the system. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because I think that Dart. I made it a point when I watch these guys, like with Dart, for instance, they ran a lot of pro stuff. I mean, it's easy to say, oh, it's Lane Kiffin, and it doesn't relate to the NFL. But there were a lot of pro concepts. I mean, Dustin, you know this. There's not 1,000 route concepts. I mean,
right.
You end up running a lot of the same stuff. Look, he played in that offense for 3 years, okay? It was evident from his tape that he was really comfortable, composed. He had a really refined understanding of the schematics of that system. It was no-huddle tempo. More often than not, it did eliminate a lot of pre-snap research of the defense. But that's the way quarterbacks are being brought up now with all these pure progression reads. That's not abnormal these days. These young quarterbacks starting 10, 11 years old, everything is pure progression. They're not taught anything about the defense at all. I mean, it's just, hey, here's your primary, here's your secondary. If one's not open, it doesn't matter why he's not open, just go to two. So these guys aren't really taught about defense. So it's not progression reading in a strict sense because the defense is forcing you to progression read. I would say that there were a lot of basic one read throws, but there were also a good amount of staple NFL route concepts. I think with Dart. I think he's a pretty good athlete. I think he can execute the design quarterback run game situationally. He can get out of the pocket. I think the questions with him, some arm strength limitations, and again, that's a relative term. People debate arm strength all the time. I always feel like arm strength, doesn't matter until it matters. So, you can debate that forever. He doesn't have much experience with the pre-snap phase of the game, which, becomes really important in the NFL. Another guy that I think needs to be an efficient ball distributor. I think that's ultimately what he would have to be. And I do think his legs can be a factor, but I think ultimately he's a ball distributor and an executor of an offense. So in many ways, he's like Shedeur, but probably lowercase.
Greg, I almost forgot my question here. They had to text it to me because I've been just so dialed in on the rest of the content and the rest of these questions. I've been soaking up all this knowledge about these prospects. We forgot to mention the guy who just accidentally won the Heisman. Man, Travis Hunter, it's crazy because it's almost like, we were talking to Sean King the other day, and he said, it's almost like we saw him too much and we just get kind of desensitized to how good he is. In your opinion, when you watch Travis Hunter, is he a one of one in terms of doing both things well? And more importantly, is he a receiver on tape or a cornerback on tape, and he's just good at either or? What position would you have to put him down? Like, hey, this is a corner or this is a receiver.
Well, I'll give you my pointless point of view on that. I think he's ultimately going to play corner in the league and then be used in packages as a receiver. That's how I think he'll be deployed in the NFL. It's much easier to find receivers than it is to find big-time corners. So I think that he'll play corner. And I think he's a really good corner prospect. I mean, he's obviously got ridiculous hands. He can catch everything. He's an explosive athlete. Now, I will say this, and some might disagree with me, and this is just a tape statement. So, as I said, I like to think reasonable minds disagree. I'm not one of those guys that thinks I'm right. Just, I sit here all day and watch tape, but I don't think I'm right all the time. I don't think he's the same level of prospect as a corner as, let's say, Patrick Surtain was when he came out. But I think he's a really good corner prospect. Dustin, I don't know how you feel, but I don't think he can play 140 snaps a game in the NFL. And not just because of the nature of the game, but because of the preparation during the week. He can't sit in on all these there's not enough time. It's not just, can he go out and catch a tunnel screen? Sure. But a lot of guys can do that, and he's obviously dynamic with the ball in his hands and theoretically could take it to the house anytime. We know that, as we're seeing right now. I mean, the guy's an explosive athlete, but, he can't be heavily involved on both sides of the ball in what's involved in the preparation. So I think he's going to end up being a corner as his primary, and I think there'll be packages for him as a receiver.
I tend to agree. I played with Chris Gamble, opposite side of Chris Gamble in college, and he ends up going to the league, first-round pick. Has a nice career as a corner. And really, all-pro corner. So I tend to think that's where Travis Hunter will be. But we'll see. Greg, you're the best, man. Thanks so much for coming on. Your time, your effort, it shows, man. It's the best.
Appreciate it, Dustin. Thanks for having me. Love being with you guys.
Good to see you, man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you, man.
That was the legendary Greg Cosell,
Legend.
by the way. Not just Greg Cosell. That is the legendary, the godfather of NFL film. So we appreciate Greg coming on today and spending a few minutes with us. Before we jump to Guardians, any final thoughts on what we heard from Greg, guys?
He called Shedeur Sanders a elite level pocket passer.
He did.
And, he had Joe Burrow's name in his mouth with that. And to me, it sounds like a dude that can run Kevin Stefanski's system. It seems like a lot of guys view Travis long-term as a better corner than wide receiver. I have heard comps all the way up to Chap Bailey when it comes to how good he can be at the corner position. It's always crazy just to sit back and watch Greg do his thing, man. And he's really an OG. He really gets in the minutia of everything and kind of figures shit out. So that was dope.
Honestly, man, like his stuff on Milroe, it doesn't necessarily make me think that Milroe is going to be like some like Hall of Fame quarterback, but it does make me think more about how much teams need to have the ability to run from the quarterback position and how much more stress it puts on defenses by having to have to worry about the idea that, hey, this dude can literally take off and go on every single snap. So that's fascinating to me. The Jackson Dart stuff was good too, because I just thought Lane Kiffin was just like this,
I did too.
Spread offense, whatever. But he talks about the pro concepts that he ran for 3 years, not just 1 year, but the last 3 seasons. So that was good stuff.
Yeah, I thought what came off was, just the balanced look at the prospects, right? Not like being like, oh, I like this guy, so the other guy sucks. No,
right.
Like it's like, nah, like everybody has some things they need to work on and some things they get better at. The thing I took away from was that if you are going to have Shedeur Sanders, you got to have a lot of stuff with it. It can't be I think one of the things that Kevin Stefanski probably will look back at and say, the way we ran the offense last year when we was dropping back, throwing the ball, and people was questioning, why are you throwing the ball when Deshaun Watson is struggling? The offensive line is not built and equipped to be dropping back 40 times. Mm-hmm. I think, they're doing, if I'm reading the tea leaves and if I go back and we look forward and look back and say, okay, they did take Shedeur Sanders, we'll look back and say, oh, well, they did get Tevin Jenkins. They did bring in another offensive line. They didn't move Wyatt Teller. They kept all their offensive line because at the end of the day, they, every year for the last couple of years, it seems like the Browns have been bringing in linemen off the street. It looks like they've kind of invested a little bit in that position group. And one thing, too, I couldn't get to it because you had so many other stuff, but Dustin, man, you got an opportunity to get a nice running back in this class. Mm-hmm. You got a nice opportunity. I was watching the kid from UCFF, Harvey. Yeah. I like him too.
I did one of his games.
Yeah, there's a lot of running backs in this class, so you got an opportunity.
Penny Boone transferred to Toledo to UCF, thought he had a job, and then Harvey's like,
I know,
nah, man, sit the bench, bro.
Yeah, tight ends. I'm looking to see, where we need another tight end in this game. Like right now, we got David Njoku, but that's it on the roster. When we were rocking and rolling, we were getting multiple tight ends. He had 2, 3, 4 tight ends, even fullbacks sometimes. So there's gonna be some stuff that they need to get along with Shedeur Sanders if it's gonna work.
I think that's a given though, right? And I get it. Some quarterbacks might need more than others, but Jim Brown said this, and I've said this plenty of times. I'll never forget that quote. You need all 11 parts on said side of the ball moving in the right direction for you to have success. So it's not like any quarterback is going to be able to be successful without having some really quality players at certain positions. I think the Cleveland Browns, they've done a decent job of addressing positions of needs. They might not be guys who, names that we know, but they can be impact players, especially on the offensive line. I think the Cleveland Browns can use another wide receiver. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with Elijah Moore, but you want to put whatever quarterback that you have on this roster in the best situation to be successful, whether it's Shedeur Sanders, Kenny Pickett, or whomever that veteran bridge quarterback that we don't know to be yet. So,
yeah, Greg was awesome. Dustin, thank you for getting Greg on.
You're
and when it comes to Shedeur and/or whoever, you need weapons. You need an offensive line. No quarterback can win by himself. Look at the Super Bowl for an example. And if you don't have the elite arm strength that Shedeur may lack and a guy like Josh Allen may have, you just have to be really good at the other stuff. And it seems like everyone we've spoken to thinks Shedeur has the capabilities to make a lot of the throws, but also it's the elite mentals that make him an intriguing prospect. So we'll see how that continues to unfold as we get closer and closer to the first round of the draft. But with Jimmy Haslam attending Cam Ward's private workout, I'm sure he's going to do something similar with Shedeur. The Browns are getting a quarterback. I feel pretty good about that at number 2. Let's talk a little Guardians, guys, after a quick word from Living for We. What happens when a regular day at school turns into the worst day of your life? Unfortunately, that's a reality that's happening way too frequently in today's world. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for young people in America, and in communities of color, the impact is even greater. Every bullet fired creates 2 victims, the person in front of the gun and the one pulling the trigger. Living for We, Keep Your Head Up, is an award-winning podcast that focuses on real stories, real struggles, and real solutions in Northeast Ohio. A brand new episode dropped yesterday. It's titled Something Greater Than Me. Stanley Frankert shares his powerful story about a moment when his life could have gone in a completely different direction, one where he may have faced a murder charge but believes divine intervention stepped in. You can listen to Living for We wherever you get your podcast or watch the video version on IdeaStream's YouTube channel. Learn more at ideastream.com/podcast/livingforwe. Subscribe today to Living for We on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is really, in my opinion, one of the best sponsors that we have. Anytime that you can highlight, the impact of gun violence, especially in the inner city here in Cleveland, where the murder rate is always one of the top in the entire country, I think that's dope. Every time I hear that read and they talk about, it impacts the person on both sides of the gun, I think you need to understand that it's expanded. It impacts those families. A lot of these people have kids and mothers and fathers that they leave behind to mourn their loss and things like that. So if you all have not checked out the Living for We podcast, I really, really encourage you to do so if that's the type of content that you want to consume, so that you can too help make a difference in being part of the change.
Well said, Earl. Let's talk a little Guards now, guys. Opening day is tomorrow. Cleveland in Kansas City taking on their AL Central foe, the Kansas City Royals. But last year, we made some bold predictions before the season, and all of our baseball so-called experts swung and missed on their bold predictions. But Tyvis, our baseball know-nothing, nailed it. So we're going to go around. None of us are the insiders of baseball like Bull, Jason, and JR, so we're going to do our best to give you guys some bold predictions that are sure to come true, because we may not know ball, but we're better at making bold predictions than the ones that do. G, you start us off. We'll go around the horn. I'll wrap it up. You're up first, G.
So, yeah, listen, I've been very critical of the Guardians this offseason. I didn't understand a lot of the moves that they're making. And I always joke with our baseball experts. It seems like it doesn't matter what they do in the offseason, their prognosis is all the same. Bull always picks him to be in first place. Jay usually follows suit somewhere along the way. And Jason Lloyd says, Gabby Arias is coming along, and we don't see much of him. This year, I'll give the Guardians credit. For the most part, they're the most consistent team in town. They have the least amount of resources. They have to drum up the most, fanfare because people, don't really, get down there as much as they could possibly with a team that wins that much. But this year, I think it catches up with them. I think it catches up with them for the simple fact that, their pitching staff is at a point right now where the bullpen, yes, is great, but look at that starting rotation. They just named Logan Allen the starter. Lively's in the rotation. Gavin Williams is yet to give me the Gavin Williams treatment that I think he should be throwing the baseball with. And Tanner Bobby just got the bag, and I've been a big fan of Bobby. But when I look at the rotation, McKenzie starting off in the bullpen. Ortiz is the guy that they got in the trade for Jimenez and Naylor. And so for me, I look at it, no Naylor. You got the wrong Naylor. You got Bo. you let Josh go. That was a 30-plus home run bat that you're looking at. I need to see Manzardo play a lot more. I do like Nolan Jones. I like the fact that they went and got him. And I do like Lane Thomas. But for me, I look at the division. I look at the Minnesota Twins that always seem to be in the division. The Royals look like they're ready to go. Tigers made a little uptick last year. I have a surprisingly down year for the Guardians. I got them coming in 4th place. Boo. I got them coming in 4th place ahead of the White Sox. Boo. It'll be competitive. It won't be a situation where they're bringing up the rear that bad. But I think I got them at maybe 82 wins. Maybe 82, 81 wins.
Man, negative Nancy today. Huh?
Hey, listen, I didn't like the moves. They brought Carlos Santana back. He owed us me. I watched him play in high school, college, and I'm 43.
Bro, I saw him have his first major league hit.
That's crazy.
I was in attendance.
That's crazy, right? Carlos,
and it was like 2011 or 10 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, long time ago. Anywho, my bold prediction would be that our boy Bazana is going to come up and make an impact early.
I like that.
Early this year.
I like that.
Early. He's making some waves in the desert. I like that. And yeah, I mean, this guy's a baller, dude.
And are we going to get?
And he wears number 37.
Are we going to get in college? See, this is my thing, Dustin. This is what makes us. This is what messes us up. The guys the guys that's on the fringe. We trying to see these dudes play. We're not trying to see. Y'all got all these prospects. We asked about Bazana. Oh, he might be up here by August. We're not trying to hear that, man.
No.
I want to see him quick. If you're going to get rid of Jimenez, who has a platinum glove, and he plays the same position as Bazana, and, we don't want to rush him to it. No. Let me see the young dudes.
Well, and by the way, he's not that young. He's 22.
Yeah, he's 22.
He ain't 18.
Yeah. I want to see our dudes play like De La Cruz in Cincinnati. He's young. He's 5 years old. He's been playing forever, and they get the chance to see him play forever. And we've been waiting all time.
I mean, why can't he be like Trout and some of these cats that come up and play right away?
Bryce Harper.
Why can't we get one of them McNuggets? Yeah. We just asking.
You're looking at the wrong guy. I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick, so you hope he turns into one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm going to try to see if I can back up the Ty Jerome and go 2 for 2 this year.
Let me see if you pull this off.
See if I can pull this off this year. My big bold prediction this year for the Cleveland Guardians, Kyle Manzardo has a season to where he hits 20 home runs and he drives in at least 80 RBIs. And I think he's going to have plenty of opportunities to do so. You mentioned Carlos Santana, right? There is no more Josh Naylor. So Kyle and Carlos are going to split the time at first base. On any given day, whichever one of them is not, at first base, the other possibly could be in that DH role. And I think that, with Ramirez and the other guys in the lineup, I think he's going to have his opportunities to drive in some RBIs. And, again, with the guys that's batting ahead of him, he's going to be pitched to. And so he's going to have to take advantage of that. I think you get the rookie season out the way. You come into this season right here, your confidence might be a little bit higher. You already know you are in the fold to play a major role this season for this team. And so that might create some comfort and some peace and some confidence. And I think that this can be one of those years to where he's been touted as a power hitter. Give me 20 home runs, 80 RBIs for Kyle Manzardo. They don't trade Josh Naylor without thinking that they can replace at least some of that production.
Oh, I like it. But I want him playing every day. No,
I think he's going to hit every day.
Look, that's
play
fine.
First base, I'm not sure, but he'll hit every day.
That's fine. As long as we can get his stick in the lineup. We've been waiting this out way too long. I done had 2 years on this show. Manzardo's ready. I'm like, how long are you going to let that stew warm up? Come on. Let's get it out of the crock pot already.
All right, so you guys went with your bold predictions. I need to pull up my number real quick to make sure I say this right because I'm going extra spicy to the 10th degree here. Last year, Emmanuel Clase led the Major League Baseball in saves. Had 47 saves last season. I don't think he leads the Guardian saves this year. I think Cade Smith does. I'm not quite sure how we get there.
Dang, bro.
Not quite sure how we get there, but I have my concerns of Clase coming off the collapse in the postseason. I know it kind of got extrapolated into something bigger. He made 3 bad pitches. They all just happened to get hit over the fence. Injuries could be a factor, but it's more of how much I think Cade Smith is a dog. Like a flat-out, undisturbed, certified dog coming out of the bullpen. And I think last year only had 1 save. Clase had 47. I know this is 99% chance not going to happen, but if it does, I will do a crazy victory lap. I'm going with Cade Smith to end the season with more saves this year than Emmanuel Clase for the Guardians.
This team made it to the ALCS, right?
Correct, yes.
I have never seen less buzz around an ALCS team. I don't even know what channel they play on.
No one does.
Wait,
They don't have one yet.
That's wild to me. This is
At least I don't think so. Do we have a channel yet?
This is nasty work, man. These teams, listen, and by the way, they played the Yankees tough last year. No one was upset that they didn't play the Yankees tough, Earl. They played it, like you said, Clase had made 3 or 4 bad pitches, and they just happened to hit him over the stadium. Like they were like, that's what happens when you do that in the Yankees lineup.
So, like, either I'm, being a little biased, an eternal optimist. I'm a casual fan. I don't know I'll be relying on Bull, Jason, and Jay too much when it comes to these things. I think Stephen Vogt can build off of what he did last year with this ball club, right? Like, you still got Jose Ramirez in this lineup. You still got Steven Kwan in this lineup. You've seen a guy like John Kinsey Noel come on late and create some excitement.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've been told, it'll be a platoon at right field between him and Nolan Jones, and they possibly can hit 20 home runs between them apiece. And so I think that this team is going to produce on the offensive side of things. I don't know if they finished the renovations at Progressive Field. I hope not, because the ball was flying out like crazy last year.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, hopefully those containers are just still sitting right there unused. But, I think the biggest thing will be if they can solidify that rotation. It'd be interesting to see if or when Tristan McKenzie can bounce back and get himself into the fold. They made a couple trades this offseason. So I'm a little bit more optimistic than most people, even though you've seen guys like Josh Naylor and so on get traded. But for me, I just think this team got a lot of upside. I do.
I think they'll get some innings I think Bieber will come back. He'll give them some innings late. I also think Tristan McKenzie will play a little bit in the bullpen. And I
haven't given up on Gavin Williams. Just 2 years ago on this show, Gavin Williams was the talked about prospect that we couldn't wait to see pitch. And last year he had a down year. Things never really kind of got on track for him. But, man, if Tanner Bybee can be that ace, if Gavin Williams can come in and get his stuff together, I still got some faith in Logan Allen, right? I trust Carl Lewis. I trust everybody, with this situation. Not Carl Lewis, but Carl Willis.
He was like Carl Lewis is
but
fast
I
too.
trust everybody in this situation that handles the rotation enough to have some confidence that this team is not going to take a step back. And it's a bad division. And as long as the Guardians play in a bad division, they have proven that they're going to be at least competitive year in and year out. So
they be getting lucky. Listen, the pitching, They'll find some pitchers. They always do some sort of black magic with pitchers. They'll bring up a left-hander. Like they got who's old boy that they just brought in that was an outfielder that they just signed to a minor
Tyler
league.
Naquin.
Our boy.
Yeah,
Naquin.
yeah.
No, Nolan Jones.
No, Naquin is
The pitcher,
guy.
Naquin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They find little things. Carrasco, they'll bring him back, made him a starter. They'll find little things. The only problem I got is I need to figure out who's protecting Jose Ramirez in the lineup. You're gonna actually need 2 or 3 of these guys. Like you hit it. John Kinsey Noel is gonna have to give me 15 to 20. Nolan Jones is gonna have to give me 15 to 20, and I need to get something from Bo Naylor. If I get 12 from Bo Naylor, playoff Rocchio seems to be a thing. You might be able to. And if Gabriel Arias gets his mind together and gives me what Jason Lloyd has been telling you he's going to give me for 3 years, they might be all right. But we're going to see. But it's a dangerous game they play. Dangerous game.
We got Bull back in tomorrow. We will do a full breakdown of the Guardians season opener coming up on tomorrow's show, so make sure you guys tune in. One of the bold predictions has to be, or we hope is going to come true, so we'll track that as the season goes on. We're going to wrap up today's show with a final word here on the Cavs. Jason and I did an Ultimate Cavs show this morning, another Cavs and Coffee. We talked about the win last night over Portland. We figured out what Cleveland's go-to thing really is, so make sure you guys check that out. It is live on our YouTube page right now. But, guys, with 10 games left to go in the regular season, we saw Sam Merrill get the start last night against Portland, partly because Kenny wanted to keep his bench intact, as Earl mentioned. But as we get closer and closer to the playoffs, Kenny's going to have to solidify his playoff rotation. G. Bush, when is the right time to start, I don't want to say setting it in pen or writing it in pen, setting in stone, but how close to the end of the regular season does Kenny Atkinson have to get his rotation cut down so guys can kind of get in the rhythm of playing their specified playoff roles? Is it now? Yesterday? Okay.
He should have been doing that. Like right now, this is why these little. I'm glad they're going to be out of contention. The second that they can start wrapping up this little first round throughout the Eastern Conference, I think the first round bye in the NBA Finals is already sailed. But he needs to start getting this together. Their defensive lineup. There's 2 things that we need to see. First of all, we need to see that ending lineup, and I believe the ending lineup is Evan Mobley, Dean Wade, Hunter, Garland, and Donovan Mitchell. That's your closing lineup. You got Dean Wade and Hunter that is able to switch on a little thing. The size is bigger, and you got Evan Mobley that can move his feet a little bit better. And if Jared Allen gets the ball late in the shot clock, he's not going to be able to create like that. I think that's your ending rotation as far as defense goes. Now, I told you before, I want to see Hunter starting. I didn't talk to all the people in the media. They said, well, eventually they're going to have to get to it. Well, eventually you're going to have to start having these guys be out there to start the game. So sooner rather than later, I need to see that. And he's going to have to make a decision on, I believe, Isaac Okoro. I mean, how deep are you going to go into the bench? Because to me, it's Isaac Okoro. You got Sam Merrill. You know Jerome is playing. You know Ty Jerome is playing. So to me, one of those 3 is outside the rotation.
The question was, when should they have had the lineups ready? And you said yesterday or today or whatever. Yeah. I mean, look at now-ish. You know,
It's like 24 hours.
You know, about now.
Have that conversation when you get home. Now listen.
Tomorrow at 7 versus the Spurs.
Yes. So we can work that out.
We're about 3 weeks, right, from the playoffs. I always think tax days around when the end of the season is, right?
Yeah.
So, like now.
And this is kind of funny. Hey, have you had that conversation? Because I'll be thinking basketball is like corners. Like everybody be having these DBs, right? So if you the nickel, you be starting. But if you in that fourth corner, you on special teams.
Yes.
And that conversation is had to be like the coaches said, like, listen, I know you've been working here at nickel, but yeah, we're gonna be moving. You're the dime guy, and so that means you're a gunner. You're running on kickoffs. That conversation is had pretty close to the first game of the season. Oh yeah. So get your running legs on. and you might want to pay attention. I need you to still be ready at corner. But at the nickel, be ready for these special teams.
I think Kenny already has an idea of who's going to be in rotation, but I think the rotation is going to be different per round. I think like in the first round of the playoffs, depending on who we play, I still think the Cavs can play 9 or 10 guys. I think the second round of the playoffs, you'll see that dwindle down to about 8. Third round of the playoffs, it'll probably be around 7 or 8. So to me, I think it's going to depend on who we play, and then how deep we get into the playoffs. As far as who's in that rotation, I think he already has an idea of who those guys going to be. To G's point about the closing lineup, I like G's closing lineup. If I had to flip it, I would actually flip Dean Wade for Ty Jerome. At 6'5", if you think about how the NBA is now, that's like a smaller 3, right? So defensively, he can still guard the 3 position. He's a guy that can shoot, defend, and can be a facilitator for Darius Garland.
You said you want Wade on to be a closer.
No, I'm saying
You would rather Ty Jerome be a closer over Dean Wade.
Yeah, like I could flip one. Like to me, they interchangeable.
Okay.
Because at 6'5", depending on the opponent, he can guard your 3 if it came down to it, and he can facilitate and he can play some defense. That'll get both Darius and Donovan off ball, or you can run Darius on ball and run Ty Jerome and Donovan off ball. So to me, with Ty Jerome, it gives you a little bit more flexibility if he was in your closing lineup over Dean Wade.
I give you one better. I wasn't even going to say it on air because people say, G. Bush, you trolling. But I'm going to tell you something, Mikey McNuggets. If Darius Garland If Darius Garland is not hitting that floater,
don't do it.
Steph Jerome is going to be in that ending lineup.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I thought
you see. Listen. If
I thought you were gonna say Imani Bates.
No, listen. Come on, I'm not crazy, bro. Like I'm not stupid. Like here's the thing. I got Steph Jerome. Like if he's a little bigger, he facilitates better. He's got the liability that they're gonna hunt him out on the pick and roll. It all depends on how Darius Garland is shooting the basketball. If he's shooting the basketball and he getting saucy, I got to keep him in the game. But I have no problems with my ending lineup being Steph Wade. I can't even stop calling him that. Hey, I need to have him. I need to have Mobley. I could have Dean Wade. And I'm going to have also Hunter. And then we got Donovan Mitchell.
His nickname is Milk, right?
That's crazy.
No, he hates that. That is a basketball reference thing. I've asked him about it. He is denied.
He does hate it.
Bro, you can't call another grown man
can't
Milk,
bring that
bro.
up.
That's crazy.
Someone just put that on Basketball Reference, just out of the blue.
I don't know how nicknames get on Basketball Reference, but it's on Basketball Reference. I asked him about it one time. It was just me and him talking
I
on
would
the
just
side.
lean into it. Be like,
And he said,
That's wild.
"What's your name? I'm Milk."
He said, "I've never heard that. Never call me that."
That's
he used some words I'm not going to say on a YouTube
that's
show
so
right
pause-worthy.
now. Yeah, he was very
So-
anti that.
I don't know.
Anything,
He don't like it. I mean, on the show, he has 6 steals, right? He out there taking your milk money. You gotta just play off the words.
Yeah, that's
man.
what I'm saying. You could lean into it.
You can lean
and
into
make
it, man.
Make it something that's cool.
that's like calling another grown man lotion.
Tell him, Dustin, you gotta flip it.
Because I'm silky smooth, bro.
Bruh, look,
See,
bro,
you gotta flip it, man. You gotta flip it.
Man,
What's
listen.
wrong with you, G?
Man,
Lotion.
That is terrible. That's not jumping. You can't call another man milk. It's just too much to come with that, bro.
Your head's in the gutter, bro.
It's too much with that, bro. Just no.
Ty hated it too, for the record.
No.
So you're
now,
good.
I mean, Nuggets, let me ask you. Now, listen. Have you come around?
Would you rather be Milk or like Peanut Tillman? You Peanut? Hey, Peanut.
And you know, Peanut Tillman is an FBI officer.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I
it's a
do
crazy
that.
story.
Yeah.
He worked for the feds.
Oh, he's a legit FBI agent. Got a badge and will shoot you. Yeah. Crazy.
That's
And
crazy.
knock whatever you have out of your hands.
Like that's wild. Like somebody was like, "Hey, man, like I think he arrested Lil Reese before from Chicago." He was like, "Yeah, he arrested Lil Reese before." Like, it's wild, bro.
Is that a rapper?
Yeah, he's you know.
Well, you got to ask G?
He locked him up.
Yeah. What'd you say?
You got to ask a question.
I was gonna ask in these rotations how you, because look, right now the way Kenny has been foreshadowing this thing, I don't expect to see Jared Allen on the floor that much. He's not been showing that against teams.
I think it depends on the matchup. I think that's kind of the beauty of what the Cavs have going for them is if they need more spacing in a certain situation, they can play Hunter and Mobley together. If they need some bigs and size, which maybe against an OKC you need to counter the Chet Hartenstein lineup, you can go with both bigs and still play DeAndre Hunter if you want it to 3 there, G. I think that's when you look at the Cavs. hammer, maybe you want to call it, or it's what I mentioned this morning with Jason. What's their best advantage, their asset, their best trait? It's Kenny's ability to mix and match different lineups to expose the other team's weakness without sacrificing what you do best. I don't think there's any 5-man combination of the 8 or 9 guys that I think will play in the playoffs that Kenny can put out there where they won't have at least, at minimum, 2 all-star to all-NBA caliber ball handlers and 1 all-star level rim threat, rim protector on the court at all times, which is just incredibly difficult to guard over the course of a 48-minute game.
To me, the guy with the shortest leash is Isaac Okoro. If he is not hitting corner jumpers, come on over here, bro. You got to post up next to me, dog. We not.
Yeah, I think he's matchup dependent.
Yes.
Against the Bucks, if Dame, who, by the way, hopefully he comes back, he had a blood clot in his calf.
What?
Yeah, he could miss the rest of the season. It's actually kind of serious. So prayers up for
wild.
Dame. Yeah, a deep vein thrombosis. So in his right calf, which is a bit of an issue for them, but Okoro does a really, really, really good job staying in front of Dame. He does a really good job in certain matchups, but to your point, if he's not hitting threes, he's not going to play.
Nope.
The Cavs can't play 4 and 5 offensively, and we've seen in the playoffs the last couple of years, if he ain't hitting shots, it's an issue.
Yeah, at least Dean Wade has length, and he's a good plus defender, so it makes it a little tougher on him. I think Max Strus is a guy who, and let me get this right. Max Strus is not some garbage liability. I don't want you to think that. What I'm saying, Max Strus plays hard. Max Strus can, give you that little instant offense. I think he's a really good player, and their lineups really seem to put the ball in the basket a lot more when he's starting. The only problem is that he's just limited when it comes to contested shots, his length, and different things like that. But he's not a defender that's trash. I think Sam Merrill is a much better defender. I think he tries super hard. Sam Merrill's improved on that side of the basket as well. So, I think they got some pieces.
The man got heart and he got attitude, and for me, that's enough. Max Strus has played in the NBA Finals and balled out in those games. I know people be touch and go with Strus, but I'm telling you, the dude got heart and he can ball. And those are the things that you're going to need when everybody's talking about this toughness. Trust me, man, you're going to need Strus come down the stretch, man.
Mm-hmm.
We got some super chats to wrap up today's show. We got a bunch, so we're going to fly through these. First one comes from Reggie Glover, who says,
Reggie,
I've been a Browns fan since 1983. I've seen it all. No matter who the Browns pick, when they come to Cleveland, they'll get my support.
That's a shout out to you. I like that. Mm-hmm. Until you throw that first pick, you're right on board.
SCR says Dak to the Browns on draft day. Do you guys know Dak's contract status? There's no way.
A billionaire.
Yeah, there's no way.
Dak's.
How are we paying him?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's no way.
I don't know how we're going to get that bread.
Brody's bottom line said prayers for Dame Dollar for having a DVT. It's serious. That was the blood clot we just talked about. That's something to monitor. You never want to see it happen to anybody, especially one of the better players in basketball. It's kind of similar, different area of the body, but same thing that's holding out Wembanyama for the rest of the season.
Them blood clots is nothing to be playing with.
Yeah, no.
It got Chris Bosh.
Yeah.
That's a good point. It did.
I'm not sure. You guys may know, may not know. What's the medical healing process for a blood clot? Is that
But they got to put you on blood thinners.
You got to put you on blood thinners, and there's certain things you can't do.
Yeah, like activity, if you're on blood thinners, you can't be running around playing no ball. Yeah. So it's a long process. My brother had blood clots last year in one of his legs, and he still he just now stopped walking without a cane.
I had a friend, me and him the same age. This was 5 years ago. He had an issue. He had a blood clot, and it traveled and it killed him. His father found him dead in the shower, just out of nowhere. Early 30s. So that ain't nothing to play with.
So prayers up for Dame. Hopefully he gets back to normal and healthy, and we see him playing basketball here in a time in the near future. Next super chat is DBDog21, who said Haslam, Barry Stefanski had a private workout with Cam Ward in Miami this morning, according to Mary Kay Cabot. Now Tony Grossi can stop dogging the front office for not being there at Cam's pro day.
Tony Grossi receives another shot.
Next one comes
Strays.
from Pink Bunny ENT, who says Cam and Sanders both aren't close to being better prospects than Baker was. So what are we even talking about here, guys? Take the best player available, Abdul Carter, figure out the quarterback position later.
He said, what are we talking about? We're talking about the top 2 draft quarterback prospects in this draft.
Talking about practice.
Yeah. I mean, but you're not gonna take. When you take the best available, man, you're gonna get fired doing that, bro.
I'll be petty like that sometimes. People like, what you talking about? Well, if you listen, you'll just hear what we was just talking
Hey,
about.
look.
Take the best available in the third round.
Yeah, look. Hey, Ashton Genty to me is a top 5 player.
I love that guy, but we're not taking him.
He's not going in the top 5 to nobody.
All right, next super chat. Brad Schrack, Schrack, I think that's Schrack, says, I was born a Browns fan. Other than Brian Sipe and Bernie, have not loved their quarterback. So unless the quarterback is a surefire tier 1, don't draft him in the top 5. I don't want any hope unless it's a lock.
And there's those absolutes, man.
I want you want so here you want somebody to tell you.
And call Marty McFly if you want these absolutes.
Hey, you know what? If you scared, go see a deacon.
Only thing that's absolute in this world is you dying. That's about it.
Facts.
Taxes.
Before you say I do, they gonna be like, are you gonna guarantee me that I'm gonna like her 24/7? Don't work that way, bro. Don't work.
Not
that way.
liking a quarterback since Bernie is like crazy
Wild.
work. That means you ain't like Baker. Like, that's crazy. You ain't like Vinny Testaverde. You ain't like nobody.
And by the way, Brian Sipe was not that good.
No, he had one good year.
Yeah, like see people the
Like
style.
one great year. He's
Yeah,
good,
he won MVP.
Good player,
Yeah,
but like one
that's
great
wild to say, man. You ain't like the quarterback since like the early 90s, late
nostalgia-
80s. That's
year. He
wild.
ain't a Hall of Famer, man.
Nostalgia will make you believe a bunch of stuff. Like I believe everything in 1990 was great. The Kool-Aid was better. The Salisbury steak at lunch was kicking, and everybody loved the pizza at school on Friday. And you wake up, you be like, man, I was eating terrible back then.
All right, next one comes from Halim Youssef, who says Ohio State is having its pro day today. 15 potential draft picks. OSU is notorious for players panning out in the league 2 hours down the road, but the Browns' general manager and head coach are in Miami missing the workout. FML, when will they learn?
Never. I mean,
you can split it up, right?
I mean, I've covered the Browns since 2011 in the media, and I'm sure that maybe they have been there. They've had representation there, and they will have representation there, I'm sure. But they just don't send the coach and GM. They don't. Yet every year, the sucker who's down the road, Mike Tomlin, is there every year.
Yeah, he has a room in a place.
Yeah, I mean, he's got an office,
Yeah,
it
got
seems
a
like,
spot.
there.
Little hammock.
And then they draft Buckeyes,
Yeah.
and those guys become really good players.
They drafted Shazier. They drafted
Cam
Hayward.
Cam Hayward.
They're gonna draft old boy.
Howard?
No, the other one, the other T.J. Watt clone.
Oh, Jack Sawyer.
Oh, Sawyer, yeah.
Jack Sawyer.
He's a Steeler born
right
and
now.
raised to be a Steeler.
They already have him. He already signed his deal. He's already locked up.
All right, confession. While everybody is talking about Abdul Carter at 2, I really want Jack Sawyer.
I love Jack Sawyer.
Rather be second or third
Yeah,
round.
listen,
He's a guy. He's a culture changer, dude.
He's built for the AFC North. Like you
Yeah,
said, he's a culture
yeah.
changer. This is the dude that I think can step in
The
and
Bengals
have
are
an
gonna draft
impact.
him, by the way.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a bunch more in 2 minutes to get through them. So
Oh, y'all
Go
got
ahead,
some
go ahead.
chats?
through these. DB Dog 21 says there's tape that actually shows Shedeur making plays out of structure. It also takes receivers knowing how to get open out of structure on those kind of routes. Corey Dot says my dream draft for the Browns is Travis Hunter, Jackson Dart, Quinshon Judkins, and Trey Harris. Daryl Green says Tyler Shuck is going to shock the world. Book it. Brody had a couple of these. These are all tied together, so I'll do the first one, then the next two are tied together. Brody, we appreciate all your contributions today. He says, how do we know Ty Jerome is going to be Ty Jerome in the playoffs? He has less experience there than Darius Garland. It's a fair question. We'll see. It's totally fair. We don't. The reality is we don't know the answer. You can only go off what you know. And so far, he has not shied away from any moment. But that is a totally fair and valid question from Brody. And Brody said, Dame's not coming back. Trust me, I had a DVT, which is the blood clot, in my lungs and leg and died for like 5 minutes. And now he's back. So, like,
Wow.
incredible comeback story for.
Hey, shout out to
for
Brody. He spent
shout
about
out to you,
$30
man.
on Super Chats today. He's always active in the chat. He's one of our biggest supporters and
Glad
has
he's with
been.
us.
So shout out to you, Brody, man. Thanks for sharing your story, man. God bless you. Prayers up.
I mean, in your lungs, that's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
That's a testament to personal strength. So Brody, shout out to you, man. That's incredible.
Crazy.
Real quick, we mentioned this earlier, but Corey said Hunter, Dart, Judkins, and whoever the last, and Trey Harris.
If you get that, that's
Is that
crazy.
a giant win? If that's the
Man, they got.
That's like the cover NCAA football.
That's the NCAA 2020.
It sound like it's Madden ran franchise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
My
wild.
son would have that draft.
Yeah, how did they get that? Like, how many picks did they got?
Yeah, in
We'll
the
see.
top
All
two
right.
rounds.
We got a fun game coming at you in overtime. We will see you in about 3 minutes on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Peace.